The Oklahoma Court of Criminal Appeals has set 25 execution dates for inmates who have exhausted their appeals. The court's decision was heralded by outgoing Attorney General John O'Connor, but not everyone is pleased with the decision. Taylor Jackson joins us with more on that. Taylor?
That's right, Jason. This is now the largest mass scheduling of executions in the country since 2017, when Ohio set 27 execution dates. The first phase of executions are set to start on August 25th and will begin with James Coddington, who was convicted for murdering a 73-year-old man in 1997. 5 other inmates were named in the first phase of executions, including Richard Glossip, whose execution is set for September 22nd, marking the 4th time Glossip has been set to undergo lethal injection. Glossip's lawyer filed an application for a post-conviction relief a week ago after recently released independent investigation was requested by Representative Kevin McDougal and a bipartisan ad hoc legislative committee.
And when looking into the case, I personally believe that we might have an innocent man on death row.
McDougal says the 343-page report revealed alarming evidence
that dives into the investigation. They actually dive into the court case. They dive into the transcript.
Attorney General John O'Connor's push for the execution dates to be set came after the June 6 ruling by federal judge Stephen Friot that determined Oklahomans' 3-drug lethal injection method was constitutional.
The Attorney General's job by law is to tell the Court of Criminal Appeals that these individuals are now eligible, that all the due process rights have been exhausted. And so we sent those notices over one at a time on the 25 people.
And while O'Connor works to prosecute death row inmates to the fullest extent, anti-death penalty organizations are fighting against it.
My brother Greg Wilhoit and I are founding members of Witness to Innocence, which is an organization of death row survivors and family members.
Witness to Innocence's mission is to help empower exonerated death row survivors to be an effective voice in the fight against the death penalty. Nancy Bullerston and her brother Greg Wilhoit joined the fight after Greg was exonerated.
This is a picture of my brother, Greg Wilhoit, one of my favorite pictures. In 1985, Greg and his wife, Kathy, and their 2 little girls, who were 4 months and 14 months old, were living in Tulsa. And on June 1st of 1985, Kathy was very brutally murdered.
Wilhoit continued to raise his daughters on his own until he was arrested and charged with capital murder.
But my parents hired an attorney who unfortunately turned out to be an alcoholic with brain damage from a number of falls he'd taken when he was drunk. And ultimately, he put on absolutely no defense. He did absolutely nothing to defend Greg.
But Greg was eventually given a new trial. After a directed verdict of innocence, Wilhoit was released from prison.
Meaning that the defense didn't even have to put on their case. The judge stopped the trial and said it should never have even gone to trial in the first place.
Exoneree Gary Drinkard faced a similar situation before he began working with Witness to Innocence. He says having proper legal representation during a trial can be a matter of life and death.
If you don't have some good representation during trial, you're going to get convicted because the state's attorney, they can make Jesus Christ look like he's got horns.
Since 1973, about 180 people who were wrongfully convicted and sentenced to death in the U.S. have been exonerated. In Oklahoma, that number is 10.
We go all over the world, not just in America. We go all over the world and speak out against the death penalty. Anywhere there's someone that has innocence issues, I mean, even if they're guilty, we would rather have them, have them life without parole.
Drinkard says life without parole would be punishment enough.
But if you're in there for the rest of your life, you suffer every day. You can get any type of story out that where people will listen, and it becomes just so hopeless. It's unreal. I mean, I had thoughts of suicide.
But Attorney General O'Connor says this is about justice for the victims' families.
For every one of the 43 people who are on death row, there's a story, and there are lives that were destroyed or damaged. I mean, these are gory. For every one of these individuals, keep in mind that the prosecutor has to determine that it's a particularly heinous crime.
5 of the executions are scheduled for the rest of this year, 10 are planned for next year, and the other 10 are set for 2024.